You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 136.5. Mike Rich reacts to the Pacers' 128 to 115 win over the Heat.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
All right, Mike. So the last 6 weeks or so, we've gone from this team's pretty unwatchable to, hey, this team's competitive now, to this team is consistently being pretty good. And now, last night, the game that we've been talking about, the one that makes you go, oh, this could be the best team in the NBA. We hadn't had one of those all year, and now we finally saw one in the Pacers win over the Heat.
Yeah, totally agree with that analysis. I thought the first three quarters were the best three quarters they've consistently, you know, consecutively played. They just looked really good. I mean, they were hitting shots, they were moving the ball, they were playing great defense. I mean, everything you want to see when they play. It was a great game to watch, but again, that fourth quarter started to get a little nervous when they had to put the starters back in, and Miami kind of chipped away at that lead, and they get these big leads and then lose them. So at least it was late enough in the game to where they withstood that run by Miami.
And it never got within 12. I mean, closer than
No.
12. And as soon as it got to 12, it was 19 about 15 seconds
Yep.
later. So
Yep. Absolutely.
they did everything right. And
Absolutely.
it all, again, started with Tyrese Halliburton. By far, his maybe not numbers wise, but just what he brought to the table last night, by far his best game of the year.
Oh yeah, over 30 points. I don't know how many assists he had, but I know it was over 14, 15 assists. I mean, yeah, he played he came out on fire, and he's played really well there in the past. And I think a couple of his 40-point games have come in Miami.
He
So
seems
yeah, I
very
think
comfortable there. By the way,
yeah.
33 points, 15 assists, 5 rebounds. His 33 points came on 21 shots, 6 for 13 from the line. A lot of getting to the basket, finding the open man, a lot of finishing at the basket, and a lot of confidence. Things we haven't seen much from him.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. Did you say 6 of 13 from the line?
No, 6 of 13 from the 3-point line.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, that's a horrible free throw percentage.
From the 3-point line. If I said it wrong,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
apologize,
yeah,
everyone.
yeah. No, you probably didn't. I just probably heard it wrong. But no, yeah, that's a great night. That's the kind of stat line you want to see more consistently, and you want to see that. I mean, I thought he was aggressive. I thought he got in a groove with his shot, and was looking to shoot, was looking to score. And again, I think, defensively they played pretty well. So I, all in all, I thought it was a great game to watch.
Yeah, I'll get to the defense here in just a minute because I thought it was really good as well. Uh, but I thought the ball movement, the not letting Miami's defense ever set up. Even when Miami scored, the Pacers were pushing the pace, not letting them
Yes.
get their defense set up, and offensively just looked so smooth. Even a lot of shots that they missed, the setups were so good, and um, if we start to see a couple 3 games in a row like this, we might start to get excited again.
I hope so. I think they could have done the same thing with Milwaukee. It was, that, like I think we talked about the other night, that they had a great, 42, 44 minutes of that game, and just kind of fell apart. But I think the day of kind of changing some things up, and moving Miles a little closer to the basket, and I thought that was a good move on Carlisle's part to set up the offense. And yeah, I thought, they made some good adjustments after the Milwaukee loss. Beating Miami is a good win. I think, beating Boston, playing Milwaukee, pretty close for, and leading most of that game. are all good signs, and pointing this team in the right direction, and just hoping that they can get over 500 this week and keep that momentum.
I think the biggest hope for the future on this team is probably Jarris Walker if he can become a regular contributor to this team. It's going to be big trouble for everybody else. His last 5 games, 12 points, 15, 12, 11, and 12. He's been very consistent of
Hmm.
late. He wasn't early in the season. He, by the way, shot 50% or better in every single one of those games. Um, he had a game with 5 assists. He's got great court vision. He's got had a game with 9 rebounds. He's very capable of doing that, and he is special on defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's him and Nemhard both. I mean, are been really good on defense.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and
Nimhard as well. Just looks like he's gone to a completely different level this year.
yeah, I think he's really. I mean, he's shutting down top scorers. And playing really well defensively, and he's doing well on offense too. So I mean, he's leading the charge on moving the ball forward, and can't ask for anything more from him. And I think sitting out as many games as he did, and being injured, took a couple weeks to get back up to speed. And I think there's a lot of opportunity with even continued improvement with him, and I just think they'll continue to get better and better.
So the defense still is not great. I don't think anyone would argue that it is. They're somewhere around 20th to 24th in the NBA,
Yeah.
but we've been saying all year last year if they could just get to somewhere in the middle of the pack defensively, it could be a team right at the top of the NBA. And I think they've improved almost at every single position defensively coming into this year. Last year I kept saying part of it's just that they're young and they're it's boys against men. And,
Hmm.
and some of that's starting to change, and you can see guys like Nimhard and Walker, and they're gaining strength and becoming better defenders.
Oh, I
Matherin.
agree. Yeah, Mather's getting better on defense as well. Um, and it is. I think it's maturity is the key to it, and maturing together and playing together, and having the right rotation of players, and having the right people coming off the bench. I think McConnell leading the offense, on that in that second line, and Walker, they're defensively. I think that's a good combination, and um, you know. I said very pleased, very happy with what we saw last night's game. So I just hope it continues to go in that direction.
Speaking of which, it starts Saturday night at home against the Phoenix Suns. That's a big one after beating them a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
And then they go to Brooklyn, and then they're at home against the Bulls, and then they're at home against the Warriors. So the next 4 games, I would think they'd be favored in all four. We're to this point where we should expect them to go 4-0, right?
We should expect them to go 4-0, 3-1. I'd be satisfied with 3-1, but I think, expected, yeah, 4-0.
And then next week, January 12th and 14th, the Cleveland Cavaliers on back-to-back games, home and home, which if they can win the next 4 games, would set up to be a pretty interesting 2-game series.
Yeah, that would be a real interesting, and a split out of that series would be a win for the Pacers.
And if they can win both of those games and make it 6 in a row, we're just saying
Whew.
if. We're just saying if. Then you got to start thinking about the Pacers, especially one of those wins being over Boston. Two. It would be 2 wins over Phoenix. It would be a pretty good resume over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think they play really well against good competition. They come to play in most of those games.
They have.
It's the letdown with the Bulls or the Pistons or Charlotte, like I said before, and they got to come to play every night, and put forth the effort and just the motivation. I don't know if it's motivation or what it is, but when the game of all the games that you said, Brooklyn probably scares me the most.
Although they have been really good on the road all year. Struggled at home, good on the road. Strange. It's not what we grew up with
Yeah,
with the Pacers, is it?
no, no, no. That home court advantage was definitely taken advantage of
Yes.
back in the day. So,
The Pacers
uh,
losing at home. There was about a 10-year period where the Pacers losing at home was very rare.
very rare. Yes, very rare.
It's
And
a different kind
just
of NBA.
seeing Pacers win close to 60 games, I don't know if we'll see that again in our lifetime.
Maybe not, but it looks like this team's headed in the right direction. I'm starting to get a
Yes.
feeling that they might be a factor in the end this year.
Yeah, I I think they will be a factor, towards the end of the season, and what matters is making the playoffs and getting one of those top six seeds, and not having a play-in game or anything like that. But I think they can beat anyone in the NBA, and but they can lose to anyone in the NBA too. So, but I think I think if they continue to improve and continue with the momentum and trend that they're in right now, and they can take that into the rest of the season, into the playoffs. I mean, they are definitely a team to reckon with, and I don't care if they're two games over 500 and they make the playoffs and they're in and they get hot. Then I'd be happy with that, but you know, I'd like it to be a little more comfortable towards that time and knowing kind of where they're going to be sitting at the end of the season too. So
I like their chances of doing that, especially after last night. The bad news is they are in eighth place and currently outside of being in the playoffs,
yeah.
13 games behind Cleveland, which is clearly the number one team in the league.
Oh yeah.
And the good news is they're only 3 games behind the fourth seed.
Yeah, I think they could. We've talked about before. I think they can get to 4-3. If they can string some wins together, and I think looking at these next six games, if they come out of that 5-1, I think 5-1, 6-0. I think that
There's start to
yeah,
be
there'd be
some
some
buzz if they
buzz.
can do that. Yeah.
Absolutely, I think there'd be some buzz, and I think they could move up at least into the top five, maybe top four with a 6-0. They could possibly be up to in the top four.
No doubt about it. All right, Mike, thank you so much for your time. We'll do it again very soon.
All right, looking forward to it.
Thanks again to Mike Rich for spending some time with the Central Indiana Sports Report. Incredibly busy schedule. So nice of him to find some time to talk some Indiana Pacers with us. And thank you for listening. Please go like, subscribe, or follow so you don't miss a single segment of the Central Indiana Sports Report. And it would be very helpful if you would tell a friend.
Nice. Inflections.
Hey, Susie, the Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it is. Did you know that?
I heard it a time or two.
Oh, yeah. Did you also hear that I love you?
I had heard that too, and I love you. Smoochy smooch.